cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken for the dust that we are, and to the dust we shall return. The From the Dust podcast features people who have had life-changing experiences. Here they share their stories and testimonials about how God can move and change a person's life. Welcome to the From the Dust podcast. Take a listen. Open your hearts and ears. Here's your host, James Science.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of From the Dust podcast. I'm your host, James Science. If you have a story or testimony you want to share, go ahead and hit me from the Dust podcast at outlook.com. That's from the Dust podcast at outlook.com. Stories need to be told and voices need to be heard. Well, it's been a while. I finally figured out what was wrong. Man, I was having trouble with my audio, kept cutting out. You know, my video issues were all grainy. So I didn't want to put anything out that I didn't like, but I got to figure it out. So hopefully we'll get them rolled out like they used to be coming and get back on track. We'll stay steady and busy. Well, man, in this episode, I kind of want to get into what I've been planning and working with and getting into, you know, certain things I want to do and things I've been working on. And what I've noticed is not only the guest interviews, but a lot of my feedback and a lot of my downloads are coming from some of my own experiences, some of my own stories. You know, I had a couple messages from my Facebook and Instagram. People wanted to hear more about my background, wanted to know more about my story and things I went through. And there's some things that I've shared, some things that I've mentioned, some things that I've seen. There's more, obviously, that I can share that I've been through. You know, and one of the things I want to talk about is obviously being a co-parenting, you know, and how being a divorced father and having a co-parent with a mother, how that works out and how does it play in my life, and what I've learned through it in the beginning and to where I am now with it, you know, and how it's changed my outlook on life, how it changed my my thinking and the relationship I have with not only my kids, but the mother of them and the person she's with now. You know, how important that is to have a relationship like that, you know, so it's healthy, so the kids don't see bickering, fighting, or any problems, you know, so we can be an example and a light that, you know, my parents can get along and they can move on and they can do things, you know. Like in the beginning, man, young father, I didn't have obviously any experience, you know, and I realized that looking back on beginning of my marriage and the beginning of me being a father, you know, how everything you do or I've done or things I've said or I've acted were because maybe I could have changed things, maybe I couldn't have, but everything that I went through and experienced shaped me to be more humble in the way I act, better in the way I see people and treat people. You know, sometimes we got to get into some dark places, man, dark places to be able to see, you know, and hopefully, you know, learn through the lessons, you know, because sometimes, man, people can go through some crazy things and not care, you know, give up and won't even change and continue to do some crazy, you know, muck stuff, you know what I mean? Crazy running muck in the streets and not care, you know. But me, man, I take every lesson and I apply it, bro, and I learn from it and I take it and I do my best to change from it, you know. Being a father, man, it having my boy so early, you know. This is what I always joke about him to get into this. I was born June 12th, and the little boy James was born the 11th, and I always joke with him, hey boy, how come you couldn't wait one day? You know what I mean? But still, we get to celebrate together, which is a joy. You know, we get to do things together. But in the beginning, man, and I didn't, as a new father, obviously you don't know, you know, experienced. But I look back and there's a lot could have changed, man, and a lot I wish I could have changed with him in the beginning and learning how to be a father and treating him. You know what I mean? And I took a lot out of him. You know what I mean? And then I done things that I regret and things I never done. You know what I mean? And anger issues and just learning, experiencing, you know, and having to hurt because I hurt my son, you know, and having to learn tough lessons, you know, and then man, and I learned a lot with him, you know. And with him now, you know, through things years changed, and man, thank God I was able to be, you know, T-ball coach, soccer coach, see him wrestle, you know, and able to be a part of the life of his, you know, see him go to his meets, go to his games, coach him, being a life, being an example, you know what I mean? And then I've learned how to be a father, you know, and how not to be a father, that makes sense, how not to treat your boys or your daughters, your kids, you know, do things I've experienced or things that I've seen. And man, I just want to talk about being a parent, you know, and it was rough with him, you know what I mean? And but I love him, you know what I mean? The way we are now, you know, he may say things out of context, you know what I mean, and joke around a little too deep, but that's his way of expressing his love, you know what I mean? That's his way of showing. That's kind of our bond because we mess around. Sometimes we get a little too crazy, you know what I mean? And he likes to he wants to surpass me and then height, which is cool, you know what I mean? And we always joke around that, you know, you might be telling me, but I'm still gonna whoop your butt, boy, you know what I mean? And we'll wrestle, we'll mess around, we'll get into it, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's all love, you know. At the end of the day, we respect each other, and isn't anything I want to do for the dude, you know what I mean? And shifting, you know, the way I treated was when my daughter was born. Not that I fear anybody, but my first daughter, when she was born, man, and I was able to hold her and look at your eyes. A thought came to me is that I have a second chance. You know, I being a father, being different, you know what I mean? Well, little girls, man, that they steal your heart, and she did something, you know, and I began to change a little bit, you know what I mean? And then my love for my kids came stronger, you know, the bond, knowing that you were able to create something so beautiful, a life, be a part of it, you know. She taught me many lessons, man, and she taught me a different kind of love that a father can give to a son or a mother, you know, or a spouse to a husband. And yeah, man, she's always been there for me since she was little, you know, daddy's girl. But now she was probably much more of a mama's, but back then, that's how it was, you know, before divorce and before all that stuff. But which I'll mention stories about it, how she was, how she went through it, and how it affected them. And then my genie was born, man. Bro, like every kid you have, right, has a different persona, you know, acts different, is a certain way. But this one, bro, she's the creative one, man. Like she was little, always acting. She was small, being that way. Still is now active, like crazy, like energy, and just her personality is off the walls. You know what I mean? It's crazy who she is and the ideas she has and things she does. You know, she picks up music easily, and she has a lot of influences, on my family and her mother's part too. I remember times where this was when I was playing bass for a church, and she was a little older, and for some reason, this little girl, I don't know what was going on, who wasn't doing their job right, or whatever, but she would escape, her class or nursery, and I'd be playing bass on stage, bro, and she'd make her way up there, bro, and want to be her dad and in the limelight and the spotlight, and that's how she is now. She's a TikTok creator and making crazy dancing videos and acting videos into makeup, nails. She's just a rambunctious little girl, and she taught me give me a lot of problems and anger the way she is, but I love it, man. And this is going towards near the divorce when I had my youngest Luis, you know what I mean? And this guy, man, like, because when he was born, that's when everything started, going the way it went. Don't blame nobody. Don't blame myself. Won't blame his mom. Just ended. You know what I mean? Won't get into detail. As of right now, maybe a little more. We'll see. But so with him, I took parenting more serious because I didn't know if it would work out. I didn't know if this was gonna be my last one. So I held on to this one. Him. And and he grew up so quick that I forgot sometimes how it was to have a little kid. You know what I mean? And learning a lot, parenting, man. Learn a lot. It takes a lot out of you, but it gives a lot back. So with the divorce, bro, and getting kids don't understand. They don't understand. They don't know what's going on, but they see, they hear things. The reason it happened. We won't get into it in this episode, but maybe we will into another one when I have certain guests come on and reflections on that. Be on the lookout for that because it's coming. I'm gonna have a special guest coming in, and we're gonna talk about co-parenting, and we're gonna talk about divorce. This is gonna be a guest that I didn't imagine would come on, but agreed to come on, and trust me, you don't want to miss it, man. It's gonna get good. It's gonna get deep, and I believe it's gonna help a lot of people. And I believe we can be a testament to shine. You'll just be like, you'll get it, you'll love it. I can't wait for it to come out. But yeah, in the beginning, man, in divorce, excuse me. In the beginning of my marriage, I could have done a lot. Did a lot different. The way I acted and the way I treated, man. And it took everything that I went through, having to be away, having used to be my kids every single day, being together, doing things, just being around them, missing the noise, the chaos and the mess, the disaster, bro. You miss that. You know what I mean? I started to miss it. I became angry, bitter, upset. Not just towards the mother of my kids for, not that she does anything wrong. I'm throwing anybody but us, I've done a lot of things wrong, but for just we weren't wanting different lives and just grew apart, you know what I mean, from the beginning, and obviously she made the steps into wanting to be separate, a lot of fighting, a lot of bickering, a lot of anger. So the best thing really for us to do was to separate, and deciding both that the best thing was divorce, having us to both make that decision was heartbreaking, because we never thought we'd be away. We always thought we'd spend the rest of our lives with each other. We thought we'd be together till we were old and gray. And having to realize that wasn't going to be hurt us both, and wanting to do what made us happy, at the time, So I never knocked it. I was angry, I was upset, but understood at the same time, and in the beginning, I didn't want to be around certain things, later on in time, as time went on, she found somebody that made her happy, which is cool, which everybody deserves. And yeah, at the beginning, I was not jealous, but I was very upset that this person was able to come into life and be a part of my kid's life and do things, and I was always not intimidated, but I was upset, that's my job. That's their mind, deciding not to be around this person when certain things were going on. So I'm gonna do my own thing. I'll see my kids when I see them, and that's that. On this day or that day, this birthday, this holiday, I'll be sure to see them and give them the gifts and whatever. If this person around, I don't want to be around these people. I'm gonna hit you because of that. I'm gonna dislike because of it. Start a fight with her mom for no apparent reason, just to be a jerk, just to be a pain. But man, you later on in time, you look around and you see the effect that it has on your family and other kids. Well, is my dad coming? Why isn't he coming? Why isn't he around? Because he doesn't want to be around this person or that person, And it makes it feel like they're not loved. It makes it feel like they're not wanted because my dad's not around. And seeing emotions on my kid's face and seeing that, man, it hurts you. Like there was an instance where I stood away for a minute, man, and I didn't see my kids for a while. And like I said, that when I seen my daughter Lily, it was a while, a few weeks, and when I was around her, she was crying, and crying, tears, crying, little girl crying, and me asking, what's wrong, and saying, I miss you, I haven't seen you, and that was my fault. Because I chose to stay away. I chose to be bitter, because I was mad and I was bitter. I just chose to stay away. I wasn't hurting. I was hurting my kids. I was hurting them, and then I'll stay away from certain things. And what kind of made me realize that I need to be around on important things was when my brother-in-law passed away, And the mother of my kids has moved on already. She started, I felt this guy had a kid, and my brother-in-law, which I'll get into the episode, how important he was to my life and how he was to me. This dude was like my second brother, man. You know what I mean? There's a lot that he stopped me from doing, and there's a lot that I stopped him from doing. And there's a lot of times where, man, I was with him, and because who he was and how he was, he did some crazy stuff, you know what I mean? And ride or die, you know what I mean? Even to the end of the divorce, I was my brother, we still did things. When I was around, when he would introduce me to his friends, he would introduce me like I was the biggest man in the world. He would introduce me to him like, you respect me, you respect him, because that's my brother, And losing him, I knew that, there was going to be like funerals and get together. That's when I was opening up to being around this person more, who she was with, expecting it because he was there for, and I seen how he treated my kids, and I seen how he treated her, Takes a big man to taking somebody else's kids, and it takes a big man to love somebody like that, you know what I mean? So I started putting away all the bitterness and all the anger, not just towards the person, but myself, and started doing more things, and seeing how the kids would react when I'd be around, wow, and how happy they were and how much fun we could have together still, and spending birthdays, together and being able to be in place without fighting and arguing and starting some drama for no apparent reason, and being able to co-parent, man, and have the relationship I have with my mother's kid, bro, it's priceless. I can go, we can plan, hey, let's have a dinner, let's have a barbecue, the kids, and as a family, or let's go to the zoo, let's make a trip. And both sides agreeing, you know, and then them seeing, well, look at my parents getting along, they're laughing, they're joking, you know, they got a good relationship. My kids joke, they laugh, they smile, you know what I mean? They're in a better place mentally and physically. And I look back, man, and I don't because I've seen families torn apart. I've seen families not have kids and parents do different things, not want to be around, and seeing how hard it is on the kids not having both parents in their life or having them run at different times, you know, not together, not bonded as one. And what we gotta realize is, man, that as parents, you know, we love our kids. We gotta set aside our differences, our issues, and do it for them. You know what I mean? To see them smile, to see them laugh, to have fun. You know what I mean? To know that my dad or my mom can come around anytime and they can be together and we don't gotta see them fight. You know, we could do things and things be fun and great, and having them stress about what's gonna happen, you know. And what's funny about it is like my little boy, right? My youngest, the guy came into his life when he was young, you know. So he grew up around him, you know. He grew up, you know. So who he knows as his dad, he calls him dad. And I'm his blood father, I'm his blood dad. But you would think that would anger, like jealous or upset someone in my shoes of my status, you know, but it doesn't, because you know what? This guy is his dad, is his father too, you know what I mean? He raised him at a young age, you know what I mean? I was around, I said the things, you know, but you know, he also did his help, his job, and raising him, and does still. And my kids, you know, yeah, all my other kids, they call him by his name, you know what I mean? Which it's up to them. I'm not gonna force him to tell him, you know what I mean? But my youngest calls him dad, and my youngest calls me my dad with the beard, you know, which is cool, you know, because he still knows me as his dad. He still knows me as his father, but he knows he has this guy to turn to too. And I who I am, I respect that, man. You know what I mean? Because and I'm not gonna take that ever from him. You know, I'm not gonna tell him, well, that ain't you, real dad. I'm your dad. You know what I mean? As long as I'm in kid's life, he knows me. I'm there too. You know what? I'm not gonna rock that boat. I'm not gonna sink that ship. You know what I mean? You know, he loves the dude and dude loves him. So why stop? Why stop such a good relationship? Why stop something that's so important, that's so vital in the life, you know? Like, I'm gonna give you an example. We'll talk about it in another episode, get more deeper. But like my ex, man, she had a kid with this dude, you know, and obviously being around my kids and being around them, you know, I see a lot of her, you know. I see her when I would pick them up, or take them over for birthdays, for holidays, you know. So she's seen me too, you know, and she sees something else, you know, and this is where I'm telling you how not only the co-parenting, but not so much the co-parenting, but the relationship I have with the mother, and you know, because obviously it's a relationship too I have with the guy she's with, you know, too. Or I don't know what you would call it, if you'd be like a friend, something that. But I respect the dude, you know what I mean? I got a lot of love for him, you know, just if anything I could do, you know, hey, help out, you know what I mean? But their daughter, you know, knows me or calls me, you know, which is it's crazy. She calls me Uncle James, you know what I mean? Though I'm not, you know what I mean? She knows that her siblings, you know, from her mother, are my kids. That's your dad, you know? But one day she just started, hey, Uncle James, you know, and then everyone's seeing, looking at, and the smile and the way she says it and the way she runs and hugs since she was small up until now, where if she calls me her uncle, I'm her uncle. And her dad sees that and he doesn't change it, If that's what she says I am, to her, that's me. And to him, that's who I am. And the mother too. My kid's mother says, that girl loves you so much. She calls you your uncle and you're her uncle and she's your niece. And she wouldn't change that too. They're not going to say, well, that's not your uncle, That's your Uncle James. If you need something, go ask your Uncle James. You know what I mean? And what kind of, who does that? You know what I mean? What kind of relationship does that? You know what I mean? That's because as adults, and us, me and her, raising our own kids together, see the importance of it. I'm not taking away that relationship, that bond, that love for raising kids and being friends is important. And I look back, man, and I think, bro, and things that I've done and seen that I'm thankful that I'm thankful and honestly thankful that we are today because I got so much more of appreciation and love with being a father and be able to share my family and the situation, you know what I mean? Because back then, not changing. Nah. I didn't want to be a bitter person, a hateful person. I seen families torn apart, like I said. I mean, I seen how hard it is, and I wanted, and they wanted to change the narrative. And today, because we're able to overcome these obstacles and know that our kids' lives are more important than the way we feel and the way we act and our actions reflect. When they go on and have their families of their own, and God forbid they get in a situation like this, they're going to remember how it was, and hopefully they're able to work it out like we did. Well, my parents did it. I'm going to do it. Hopefully they get married and live long lives with the spouses, with the kids. But I want to be an example. So, you know what? Even though we didn't work out, I can still love your mom. Your mom can still love me. We don't got to be in love, but we can still have that bond as parents and having kids to be better, do better, be a light. You understand? So, if you're in a situation, you don't know what to do, that my story, that my pain, man, because I've hurt, bro. When I knew my marriage was ending, I hurt. I bawled, cried. You know what I mean? I struggled with it for a long time. Took me to some dark places, man. Did a lot of things I never do. I've hurt people. You know what I mean? I've gotten hurt afterwards. You know what I mean? So I understand. So if I had to change that, you know what I mean? Know that. Step out. Be better. Make that change. Be that parent, that co-parent. Do what you have to do what it takes. See kids happy, because that's what matters, man. When you see your kids happy, you see them smile, you see them come together and be a family. That's what's important. That my story, that my testament be a light. And know when you put your faith in God, you know what I mean? Your heart, and no matter the situation, no matter the hurt, that God's going to be in it and His presence is going to be in that relationship. And it's going to work. God is good. God is great. If you have a story or testimony you want to share, go ahead and hit me from this podcast at Outlook outlook.com. That's from it. That's podcast at outlook.com. Stories need to be told. Voices need to be heard. And you know what? Before I go, let me throw this out there, man. If you can like, share, and subscribe, we're on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. If you go to those platforms and you subscribe, like, and leave reviews, whether it's in Apple, Spotify platforms, you know what that does? That helps us be seen in the libraries, helps us raise up in the ranks, where more people can find us, where more people can hear these voices, where more people can hear these stories of encouragement, of recovery from drugs, abuse, prison, that there's a better way. So if you can, like, share, subscribe, share it, tell a friend, tell a co-worker, get the news out. God is good, God is great. I thank everybody for all the support, all the likes, shares already. And then you know what? I'm thankful. It's crazy because I never imagined that I'd be listened to in the countries that I listen to, man. Let me just give you a brief rundown of the places that I'm actually listening to. And it amazes me, man, like all the countries and all the support. Let's see here. This is where I want to get at. Man, it's crazy because I'm heard in Europe, Africa, South Africa, Australia, and Asia. I got listeners in Kuwait, Tennessee, everywhere from San Jose to LA to Washington, Texas, man, it's crazy all across the street. It's crazy. Hawaii, throughout from New York, from the west to the east, I got listeners, but what makes me happy is that it's getting out there, England, Arabia, Bolivia. Let's see what else is going on right here. England, Wales, Germany, Brazil, Russia, United Kingdom, Kuwait. It's amazing how far it's reached. You know what I mean? I'm amazed by the support and the word that's going out. It's only through the support, through you, the likes, shares, subscribes, and God, that these voices are getting out. It's moving slowly, but it's moving. I never imagined, when it first started out, I had listeners, down hometown in LA, and majority of my listeners, which is pretty cool, is my hometown, right now, Visalia, Tulare, Hanford, a lot of them are coming from there, which is good to have hometown support. But I'm loving the love. I'm loving the shares throughout the countries. It's a good thing knowing the word's getting out there. Again, if you have a story or testimony you want to share, go ahead and hit me up from it. That's podcast at outlook.com. That's from it. That's podcast at outlook.com. Stories need to be told. Voices need to be heard. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be good. You know what? Be on the lookout for the new episodes that are coming out. Can't wait to see you again. Before we leave, it's ET with the outro. God is good. God is great. Yo, hit me up. Y'all be blessed. Yeah.
Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. All things are passed away. Behold, all things become new.
From the Does Podcast. Yeah.